Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the story of a nation that, in just a handful of decades, completely transformed itself from a developing country into a real global powerhouse. So, to really wrap our heads around this transformation, let's kick things off with one single fact that, well, it's pretty surprising and it puts everything into perspective. Okay, get this. In 2024, Malaysia pulled in a whopping 16 million visitors. As this report shows, that's more than Dubai, the global hub for tourism. So you gotta ask, how on earth did a country like Malaysia pull that off? And here's the thing that really makes you think. This is a country that got its independence 10 years after Pakistan. Yet in so many ways, it feels like it's leaped decades into the future. So what's their secret? All right, here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll look at Malaysia by the numbers to get a sense of the scale here. Then, we'll dig into the two big secrets behind its success. After that, we'll take a quick tour of what the country looks like today, and finally, we'll piece it all together to understand the Malaysian blueprint. All right, first up, Malaysia by the numbers. Let's dig into the foundation that all this incredible growth was built on. It's a really diverse place. It's a majority Muslim country, about 60%, but it's also a modern Islamic nation that guarantees total religious freedom for everyone. You've got large Buddhist, Christian, and Hindu communities all living together. It's this really unique and stable cultural mix. And this right here brings us back to that central mystery. Look at this comparison with Pakistan. Pakistan got its independence a decade earlier, right? But Malaysia's economic journey has just been completely different. We're talking a GDP of over $430 billion and a per capita income north of $12,000. That's a huge difference. So where's all this money coming from? Well, their economy is like a powerhouse, firing on all cylinders. You've got high-tech manufacturing, electronics, cars, a massive tourism industry. Oh, and they're a major oil producer. And that leads to this wild fact. Because of government subsidies, petrol is actually cheaper than bottled water there. Cheaper than water. Okay, so we know what they've achieved, but the big question is how? How did they pull off this transformation? That brings us to the two secrets behind their success, which all started at a really crucial turning point in their history. So they got their independence back in '57, and that was the start. But the sources we're looking at are really clear. The rocket fuel was lit in 1981. That's when Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad came into power. This is when the modern blueprint for Malaysia really began to take shape. So, what was the plan? What was the secret sauce here? Well, it wasn't complicated. It all boiled down to a super clear two-part strategy that just changed everything. And here they are, the two pillars that held everything up. The leadership knew, that you can't build long-term success without these. First, a corruption-free government. They were laser-focused on making sure the country's money was actually invested in the country, not stolen. And second, education. They made education the absolute #1 priority, seeing their people as the ultimate national resource. And wow, did that focus on education pay off? Just look at this number, 95%. That's the national literacy rate today. Think about that for a second. Pretty much the entire population can read and write. That creates an incredible foundation for a skilled, modern workforce. Okay, so now let's see what you can build on a foundation like that. How did those two big ideas, no corruption, pro-education, actually turn into the modern, buzzing country that pulls in millions of tourists? All right, let's start with the capital, Kuala Lumpur. It's just this shining, futuristic city. It's so clean, so beautiful, so well-run that people have started calling it the London of Asia. And this city just perfectly captures that whole vibe of blending the future with tradition. You can literally see it in the skyline, right? You've got the world-famous Petronas Towers, and now the brand-new Merdeka 118, which is the second tallest building on the entire planet. But then you get down to street level and you feel it too. It's a place where you can pay for almost anything with your phone, but just around the corner is the National Mosque, this breathtaking symbol of faith and history. Okay, but here's the real kicker. Even with all this futuristic stuff that would feel right at home in Dubai or London, Malaysia is unbelievably affordable. You can get a whole meal for just a couple of bucks, and a nice hotel room costs a tiny fraction of what you'd pay in other major hubs. And when it comes to tourism, their ambition is just off the charts. Take a look at the First World Hotel in the Genting Highlands. This isn't just some big hotel. No. This is the single largest hotel in the world. We're talking over 7,300 rooms. It's built so high up in the mountains that the top floors are literally inside the clouds. It's incredible. All right, so let's tie all these threads together. When you look at everything, what's the big takeaway from Malaysia's amazing story? What exactly is the Malaysian Blueprint? So the blueprint really seems to be this amazing positive feedback loop. See that big push for education? It created a super skilled workforce. That, in turn, attracted huge tech companies like Google and Microsoft to invest billions. All that economic growth then helps them protect their incredible natural beauty, the beaches, the rainforests, which, of course, fuels even more tourism. And it all comes together to create this amazing quality of life that's also affordable, making it a hotspot for talent, for visitors, and for students from all over the world. You know, when you zoom out, the story of Malaysia is more than just about one country. It kind of forces us to ask a really big question. In a world that often feels like it's being pulled apart, is Malaysia's special mix, this blend of deep tradition and hyper-modern ambition, is that the real blueprint for success in the 21st century?